So great to have you on our coffee, and I hope you brought your own cake for coffee and cake chat. Um, if you haven't been in one of our webinars before, then I'll just do a wee bit of a roundup on what we've got going on. So this session is our members only networking, and it's a chance for you to kind of hear from everybody else, to ask everybody else questions, to give us any feedback that's relevant for us to take to the kind of wider chamber network and to government, because a lot of what we've been doing is taking business feedback straight to government so that they can adapt what's going on in terms of the business support that's out there, and just try and address some of the gaps that there are. This evening is the latest in our A Guide to webinar. So it's a guide to sales this evening. We've got a really good turnout for the session tonight, but you know, there's still plenty of time to register for that. If you haven't seen it, then please go on our website and have a little look. Our Wednesday webinars are about people, so it's about motivating and supporting your people. And on a Thursday, we do a business support webinar, so it's more about the business and what the business needs to do or what the business needs to access for support. So lots of webinars going on, and lots of chance for us to kind of make sure that our team is well connected to our members, but also that we are doing the right kind of things that support businesses and members in the region. So this session that you're in at the moment is the only one that's just member only, and then our other ones are open to members and non-members. As I said, we've been doing a lot of talking to government, and they are still very much listening to what all the issues are. We're still waiting to find out some of the extra business support measures that have been announced, such as the ones that were intended to help self-employed people, and the gaps there. And there's going to be a mixture of the local authorities and probably Scottish Enterprise, maybe the economic development teams within the local authorities, looking at how to get that additional financial support out to businesses. We are hearing that there's going to be so they're having to design forms as well to try and just make sure that people that genuinely need these funds can get their hands on them. And you will have to be able to say that you haven't received any other business support. So hopefully there is a bit of light at the end of the tunnel for some of the self-employed and others that were just falling through cracks. You may know that the government's job retention scheme went live yesterday, and so far they've dealt with a phenomenal number of claims, which is actually really good, because for such a small turnaround time for getting a system like that up and running, they've really done a good job. But maybe we'll hear differently today when we get your feedback. They have also promised a 6 working day turnaround on that, because the message very clearly from us as chambers and other business support organisations is that money needs to get to businesses ASAP. There's payrolls coming up at the end of this month, and as well as a whole bunch of other costs. So it's good to see that that's kind of come on stream so quickly, because there was worries it would be June, and then really good to hear that they've listened and will do that turnaround so fast. So what we'll do is we'll just kind of run through and get everybody to come on. As you come on, if you unmute yourself and just introduce yourself, say a little bit about your business, but also I think what we'll try and do is just have a look at a couple of different issues, rather than you kind of say, because if you've been in this webinar a bit, you'll maybe have said the same things, and you might be fed up telling yourself the same things. So I'm really interested in a couple of things. So if you need me to remind you part of the way through, because you haven't had a chance to write down these questions, then give me a shout. But a couple of questions just to kind of see what feedback we can get. What businesses have you seen that have really stood out for you in the last few weeks, and why? And then what's the big thing that you were planning for this quarter, and how are you still going to do that? How has it been impacted by the coronavirus and our remote working challenges? So I'm going to do this in alphabetical order, and that means Abby Scrimger, you're up first. So if you unmute yourself, remember to introduce yourself, and once I know that we can hear you, then I'll get out of the way.
Okay, hi everyone. Can you hear
Hi
me?
there. Sure can.
Hi, lovely. Okay, cool. So I'm Abby. I work for Salamandra. We're an animation and design agency with studios in Eton and Dundee. We specialise in conveying complex messages visually, so we offer powerful productions on any platform. So working primarily business to business, we produce, things like animated explainer videos or animated presentations, film and motion graphics, that sort of thing. So yeah, if you know of any agencies who need help with their visual content, we hope that you would think of Salamandra. Be great. Is that all that we're looking from this bit?
Yeah, that's totally fine. Unless, because I really put you on the spot, unless you can think of, you can maybe come in at the end once you've had a chance to kind of wait and hear what other people say about their kind of businesses. Am I right in thinking that I saw an animation from you today for the Queen?
Yes, it's the Queen's birthday, so we got the Queen dancing in animation today.
Yeah, very cool. Brilliant. Okay, thanks so much, Abby.
Okay, thank you.
Ailsa Cormie, over to you. You're an old hand at this. Notice I'm not saying you're old, I'm just saying that you've got experience. So
well done, Alison.
Introduce yourself and give us a wee bit of feedback about what's going on with you.
Excellent. So I'm Ailsa and I work at the University of Dundee, primarily within the School of Business. So currently we are working with a couple of other members of the Chamber to put together a summer programme, which is going beautifully. It's been great, actually. It was after the last one of these that I got together with one of the other people and we had a bit of a chat about what they could put forward for that as well. So that's looking what we're finding is a lot of businesses are really keen to get involved and sort of get out there and sort of advertise some of the work they're doing, and hopefully that then leading to more work once this bizarre time has passed. We're quite fortunate in Dundee that we have a lot of businesses who are very, I think they're quite forthright and quite good at talking about themselves and what they do and the products and things that they provide. And that's been really, really good. With the university itself, there's now some members of staff will be put through the furlough scheme. I'm fortunate that I am not one of those. Most of the teaching staff will still be on site, obviously, right through the summer. And we're now looking towards next year and the beginning of next academic year, and whether or not that'll be online or a mix of online and face-to-face, depending on what happens. We are quite fortunate that we are quite different from a lot of other businesses in that at the moment we've gone on to online and it's been quite, I'm not going to say straightforward because it really hasn't been straightforward at all, but we're online and it's all working. However, for us, the issues are going to come in September to see who we have signing up, what impact is this going to have on our international students, what impact is this going to have on the businesses that we work with internationally. And for me particularly, thinking about internship longer term, what's going to happen there. We're very fortunate in the university that we have a January intake of students as well. So again, we're looking forward to January, what's going to happen there too. But obviously this is something that's happening across the education sector in Scotland. So unfortunately, it's another one of those we're just going to have to wait and see. So that's kind of where we are at the moment.
Okay, and Ailsa, how about my questions then? Any business that stands out for you from the last few weeks? It doesn't have to be local, can be anyone that you've gone, ooh, and good or bad?
I have to say that it's all been good. I don't think I've had a bad experience with the business over the last few weeks. A lot of really good experiences. In my personal life, I have 2 small children at home. So currently keeping them fed and watered has been, difficult. So I've been using a lot of local businesses, getting takeaways and food deliveries and things where they tried to change how they do business. But also from a work point of view, pretty much any business that I've approached or have spoken to has been really keen to do something. And I think I would also just like to say that because I did have a wee bit of budget that I was able to offer funding for some of these talks and things, because as a university, it's really important that we do continue to fund some of these businesses that are maybe really struggling with income in other ways. I would say, actually, having had a chat with Jerry Higgins from Communicating Culture, he's been amazing. He is brilliant and my new favourite person. And he's just been fantastic, I have to say. But again, I think he's having to diversify a lot of what he does, and it's kind of going at it on the hoof, trying to make his business still viable.
Okay, I think that's a pretty good one then. Thanks, Ailsa, that's fab. For those of you that, so Jerry's not with us, he's off and on this session today. So for those of you that haven't come across Jerry, Jerry has worked internationally and now specialises in helping businesses that are looking to trade overseas think about how does that culture in Norway differ from the Scottish culture, differ from, you know, the Chinese culture, and how does that help you or hinder you when you're trying to do business with them. So yeah, if anybody has a need for that, then come and give us a shout and we can connect you. Okay, Fiona Harper, in my kind of alphabetical order, you're next. So I wonder if you would just unmute yourself, introduce yourself and your organisation, and just say a little bit about what's been going on for you. And if you can highlight a business for one reason or another that's standing out to you at the moment, then that would be great.
Sorry, I was a bit late on to the meeting there. I managed to lose the link, so that was a good start.
That's all right.
Sarah's very kindly sent it on to me. Obviously, I work for PAMIS. We're a charity that supports the most profoundly disabled, and we're based in Dundee. We have been in the situation where for quite some time we've been working with the government to become more sustainable and less reliant on grant funding. So we have worked very hard to put together our training programme, which actually we increased our income through training by 174% last year from the year before. So, you know, we've been quite successful in doing that. And we also really had increased our income from our renting out of our changing places toilet, the Pammy and we also were bringing in an income from 2 new holiday accommodations that were adapted for our group. So we, although we're not a traditional business, we're a charity, we've had to, we've had to become more sustainable and more business-like and operate like a business. So we're then subsequently affected quite dramatically by COVID-19, because obviously no one's hiring, we're not training, nobody's having holidays. So we've lost, you know, several thousand, tens of thousands of income this year. So we're working quite closely with the government just now, who are really trying to help charities like us to continue to operate in this current climate. So we haven't furloughed anyone, because we're such a small team, everyone's so busy with supporting families. But obviously our families are in isolation at the moment. They're looking after the most profoundly disabled people with really quite severe complex health needs, the kind of people who really can't come into contact with anyone with COVID-19. So we've put together in response a quite an extensive wellness and activity programme that we've quite quickly had to learn how to use Zoom and all these different new platforms that we're not used to. And the families have responded well. So we're doing all sorts of crafts and activities and music and yoga for carers and things, just to make sure that they are all, you know, just keeping them in their isolation, feeling like people are there for them, and really looking after their mental health as well as their physical health. So that's what we're doing at the moment. In terms of businesses, and I don't know, you've probably been talking about very prestigious businesses, perhaps, I don't know, but my mind immediately goes to Fisher and Donaldson delivering fudge donuts to people's houses. You know, we've got a lot of local businesses where I live in Tayport, in St Andrews, who are quickly adapted, and you know, even Janettas are going to be delivering ice cream. They've started delivering ice cream, and I just love how all these small to medium sized businesses in the area have adapted and are really still trying to deliver to customers without having their shops open. So
that's a brilliant example. Thanks so much, Fiona. That's fab.
No
okay, great. Next up is Gary Black. Gary, if you could unmute yourself, come in and introduce yourself and tell us what's going on.
Oh yeah, my name's Gary Black. I work for Allied Surveyors in Dundee. We're one of the big four kind of national chartered surveying firms. And when your business is involved in property, then you've got nothing to actually do just now. Our job is to inspect houses, and well, houses for me personally. And when your job involves inspecting people's houses, there's nothing for us to actually do. So although I'm working from home, it's dealing with the odd phone call or email or webinar, and that's kind of how I've been keeping myself busy. All of our staff are pretty much furloughed. Again, they're sitting at home, job quite safe, but again, there's nothing for them to actually do. We had a meeting this morning, and we've got a new business plan, and we're having to speak with banks, and we're just discussing the future. But I respect the property market will kick off again. Well, we're hoping actually the end of May into that, and we're looking for some kind of guidance from the government. I know the Scottish Government published guidance at the end of March, which was a bit confusing here and there. We've decided to do no inspections. We're going down the no inspection, stay at home, route, which I think most firms are, frankly. I'm hopeful that by we'll get back to some kind of normality by early summer, possibly before the schools are back. Honestly, in terms of businesses that have impressed me, well, I've been impressed by the businesses that have stepped up to help in the PPE drive. And there's been a lack of PPE for our frontline health workers, and I believe a few businesses, I think Barbara, have offered to make that kind of equipment. And that's about it. Thank you.
Brilliant, thank you. That's fab. Okay, Jen Stewart, do you want to come on and give us an update?
Good afternoon, all. So I am Jen Stewart. I lead the office for Johnson Carmichael, business advisors and chartered accountants in Dundee. I'm a regular on this call, so sorry if you've all heard a bit of my chat before. So we are just continuing to assist clients with queries across the board. We've been very busy with the job retention scheme and the furlough scheme this week, actually assisting a lot of our clients process the claims through the HMRC portal, which Alison has alluded to already. So it's only frozen and booted us out a few times, but that is to be expected with the volumes that are actually going through it. But we are hopeful that obviously HMRC will pay out in times that, in a time scale that will actually help and assist all the businesses that actually need access to these funds. I have, I guess, heard from speaking to various banks that I think if businesses are potentially struggling, that banks may look to extend overdraft facilities for a period to allow them time if the funds aren't being processed through from HMRC in time. So I think, on forwarding evidence to demonstrate that they have actually applied, I guess we're hopeful that the banks will be supportive of that. I think in terms of some of the questions, Alison, that you asked, what businesses have stood out? Well, again, I completely echo all the local businesses that are actually adapting to, I guess, produce the PPE equipment, and also to, I guess, diversify where they can to deliver goods, food, services, to basically allow people to, I guess, stay at home and reduce that kind of footprint. So we've noticed a lot of our clients that have been able to have diversified and put I guess I would say efficiencies in place that actually beyond lockdown and COVID-19, I think these could be efficiencies that are potentially streamlined from kind of now and beyond. The remote working for us, I think a lot of us were already set up to work remotely, and in Dundee we were very much a digital electronic office already, and I think that some of these efficiencies we will basically certainly be keeping on board as we kind of come through these challenging times, because actually there is a lot that can be done remotely. I do laugh, echo and sympathise with Ailsa in terms of the having young people at home and keeping them fed, and let's not even talk about homeschooling because that is a challenge in itself. And to again touch on what would we have been working on this quarter? Well, Johnson Carmichael opened our office in Dundee last June. So we were really, I guess, firing ahead with a lot of business development activity, looking at a lot of sector-specific areas. I think tech is one of the areas that we were looking at in Dundee, and we had launched our Talking Tech series and basically kicked that off in March with a really good event in our Dundee office. So we are looking to keep these going, but actually it'll just be delivering them electronically. So it's very much making sure that we stay invested in Dundee, our growth, and helping support businesses, clients, you know, and looking at our corporate social responsibility. We're sponsors of the Kilt Walk, and we hope that the Dundee Kilt Walk will actually still go ahead in August. So yeah, so fingers crossed for that. Thank you.
Brilliant, that's fab, Jen. Thank you so much. Okay, Mary, over to you. Do you want to unmute yourself and come in and say hello? Mary, are you going to get yourself unmuted? If not, what I might do is just jump ahead to Nazat, and then we'll come back to you, Mary, if that's okay.
Hi everyone.
Hello.
So my name is Nazat. I think I recognise some names. So I work at Abertay University just now, and it's weird working from home because I never really ever do that. And when all this happened, I just literally moved into my new house. So I had no furniture. I'm using a stole office chair. Luckily, they give you a laptop, whether they steal that. But yeah, so this is all kind of still just getting on my bearings, working from home. So I actually work in the fundraising team at Abertay. So most of Abertay staff are working. There's a few people that are furloughing, and that's like our estate staff, the cleaners and all that. But we, university in general, is just trying to get everyone to even work in departments that they don't usually do, just so that they feel like they're helping. So what we're doing as a department, especially the fundraising team, that we are now working on like a coronavirus appeal. We have a lot of students at the moment who are now kind of lost their jobs, they're struggling. We're trying to give them food packages. So our student services team are out seeing students, giving them their food. We've got students that are stuck abroad, trying to get them back home. Some of them managed to get back home. So luckily, some of them are able to stay at halls at the universities that are doing study abroad. So it's just trying to make sure our students are all safe. So we're kind of working with just with companies that we generally work with and our community, just to fundraise, just to help students, just make sure they get food really. We are working with like the local community hubs as well, because a lot of our students, it's just not them, it's their family as well. So we're trying to help as much as we can. And also in general, like some of our mental health students and biomedical students who are in their final year are now working. They're doing frontline work with the NHS, but sooner than they should be. But you know, that's them helping. And as most universities will have PPE, so we've now given that all to the NHS, so because they need it more than us right now. So yeah, and trying to set up virtual classes, and yeah, so that's what we're doing at the moment as a university, and us as a fundraising team trying to help as many departments as we can. Personally, I think the supermarkets are doing so much. I think they're doing a great job just trying to make sure there's food in the aisles and toilet paper. Just where I live, I don't drive, so just the local shops, like I live near like a Co-op and a Tesco, so it's just great what they're doing. and just a whole sense of community. Everyone, I think everyone's been kind of nice, and so I think I'm really just proud of what the local shops are doing. And from the university's point of view, it's kind of good that we're getting like companies are helping. We work quite closely with Santander Bank, so they've gave us funding originally for internships, but they're letting us use that to help with our kind of hardship funds. So students are getting food packages. So we're quite happy that companies do want to work with us and want to help in their way as well. I think that's everything I was going to say.
That's brilliant. Thank you so much. Great. Glad you could join us and that you got the chat to work.
Yes, exactly. That's what I'm pleased. That's the thing about working from home. I am not, just don't know what's going on, to be honest. So I'm just happy that I've got the chat to work. That's my highlight of the day, I think.
So from you to Ross next, who has got the chat working. I don't know if we're going to hear Ross though, because he sometimes has difficulties. Ross, are you there?
Play? Can you hear me?
I sure can.
I'm trying to see if I can get my camera to work. I'll be like, I actually managed to get all three things working.
Baby steps.
Yeah. Oh, there we go. I think that might be it.
Yeah.
So my name's Ross Cameron. I own a company called The Altered State, and we primarily do laser cutting and engraving, but generally sort of make different things for people depending on what they want. Most of the business is focused around in subcontract manufacturing, but we do also have a separate part of our business called Ellie and Hart, which is our own product range. So as things stand today, the Altered State or the subcontract business kind of, as with a lot of people, it kind of just fell off a cliff. But the flip side to that is that because everybody's shopping online, our product range has started to sell a lot more than what we would normally do, and certainly a lot more than this period last year. So it's been quite interesting. Sort of couple of months for us. I say us, it's me and my wife, but she's got a full-time job, but has to help out now and again to make ends meet, getting stuff out the door and things like that. And I'm one of the sort of the high-risk people. I've got an autoimmune disease, so I'm one of the shielded people. So she's having to do all the post office runs and all the shopping and all that kind of stuff for me. I work from home normally, so there's nothing really changed there other than certainly from a chamber point of view. Normally I don't manage to make it to the different events, which is always quite frustrating because I'm kind of stuck in the house. So this has actually been a really positive experience for me that I'm sort of attending them all more or less now as much as I can. What else could I tell you? Well, there's 3 kids here. One's a teenager, and that's a nightmare. If the Wi-Fi or anything like that is to go down for some reason, that's going to be horrendous for us because we're pretty much parenting by iPad and Nintendo and things like that at the moment, much to our, well, I don't know, it's disgraceful, isn't it? But, needs must. We also have a 7-year-old wee boy who we are foster carers for. So that's been quite interesting as well, because that's put a whole new dynamic to how that's managed and how that's facilitated, I suppose, in terms of his contact with his own family and things like that. He's having to learn how to do FaceTime chats with his biological mum and things like that. So kind of fun and games for us just now. Pretty interesting. Trying to think of your questions, Alison. I remember there was one about what's our plans for this quarter. So up until now, the Ellie and Hart brand we've been selling on Etsy, which is kind of, I guess it's considered more of a sort of a craft site, sort of small makers or little kind of artisan kind of businesses that use that. But we are starting to migrate our things over to Amazon. I guess if you're going to sell things retail or business to customer direct, then Amazon's pretty much the place to go, no matter what you think about the politics of people like Jeff Bezos and the like. But so that's really the big plan just now, just to try and get all our stock and more some product development things done and move it all onto the the online platforms. Other than that, yeah, a little bit about product development, trying to do some things with like the website and that type of stuff. A lot of the admin side of things that we don't normally get to do. What else are we doing? Oh, PPE. Yeah, we are in conversation with several people within the NHS. We're talking to the National Manufacturing Institute of Scotland as well, trying to see if we can assist. We've done some work with that already, but there's a lot more that can be done. They're trying to get all their ducks in a row, if you like, in terms of what's required and where and how many and who's going to do it. So we're kind of just waiting to see how that sort of pans out, and then hopefully we can, you know, start to contribute something in that regard. Businesses that have been good, I think Hermes, from a delivery point of view, they come and collect from us right from the door, which has been really useful. The Royal Mail has been frustrating because you're only allowed to take 3 things in at once, so that's not very great if you've got a whole load of stuff to go out. And other than that, 71 Brewing, because they bring me my beer. How's that, Alison? Is that okay for you?
Perfect. Yeah, that's really great. Thank you so much. It's not really alphabetical order, is it, this now? But Fiona Gray, you're next on my list. You get a chance to unmute yourself and come and say hello.
Hello, everyone. How are you?
Hi.
Hi. So I'm Fiona. I work at Hotel Indigo and Staybridge Suites. Well, did for 7 weeks and then been on furlough for the last couple. So I only joined the hotel in February. So a really interesting time to start a new job and then go off again. But really keen to keep coming on the chamber events and to network, even though I'm officially not selling the hotel, if anyone asks. Really just to see who I can then be speaking to once we are back open. Staybridge is currently open, welcoming key workers, but Indigo has been closed, as most hotels in Dundee have. Regarding your questions, I would totally agree. The supermarkets, the companies that have diversified to make hand sanitizer, that kind of thing, huge admiration for them. What would I be doing this quarter? I would have been reaching out to everybody, building up relationships on a local level. It's her 2nd birthday in July, so there was a party being planned, so hopefully we can still maybe get that to go ahead, but probably be a bit delayed. But really just wanted to make sure that I was involved with the chamber and making the most of the webinars that they've been doing. So thank you, Alison and team.
That's perfect. Thank you so much, Fiona. That's great. Mary Guinea, do you want to try and unmute? Here we go.
Can you hear me now?
Sure can.
Thanks very much. Thanks, Alison. Hello, everybody, and I'm delighted to join the event this afternoon. It's my first one, and it's nice to feel connected and to know other people are out there. I suppose where we are at the moment, just for some colleagues, we provide care, education and special services to the most vulnerable kids across Scotland and the UK. So all of my staff, I have 190 people, and we're all key staff, we're all frontline staff. So when this all kicked off a few weeks ago, my priority was to make sure we got all, you know, as much in terms of infection control, infection prevention in place. So we were working flat out. I must say, we've had a fantastic response. We've got all of the PPE equipment we need. We've put training on for staff. The social care partnerships have been fantastic with us. We've actually managed to arrange testing for staff and their households. And we've had that in place for about the last 3 and a bit weeks. And what's so positive about that is that it provides reassurance to staff that they're not infected, but it also helps us in terms of workforce planning. So that's been very positive. I guess where I could really do with some help and expertise is on the use of IT, because we're moving into a whole range of platforms. We were going to be doing this anyway, and Alison, I would have been coming back to the chamber for help on this around consultancy support, but we're really thrown in at the deep end, and we obviously, some people who are being shielded, I heard the last gentleman speak, some people who are being shielded, I have to make sure the infrastructure is in place for them so they can work remotely, but also we can stay connected. But they're also, you know, the government's intention is that as many people as possible who can work from home should, and obviously I want to make sure I adhere to that. So, and obviously we've got the kids, you know, in terms of our young people who are at the heart of everything we do. We've bought a lot of tablets, we've bought a lot of kind of apps for them. Our education department is, you know, they're using that in terms of learning, but we could really do with some assistance and some creativity and some fun. You know, our young people need fun still, our staff need fun. And I guess as we move into the next phase, you know, we're moving where the number of deaths across Scotland, you know, are reducing, but the crisis is still there. And I guess what I'm a bit anxious about is that staff may get bored, may get a bit complacent, and a bit, you know, finding the regime of hand washing, social distancing, etc., is a bit tedious. And we have to keep the focus on that to keep people safe. So I think my next challenge is, now that I've all the protective factors in place as best I can, is in terms of getting my staff to make sure they're re-engaged with the core purpose, which is all about improving lives for our vulnerable kids. And that's why I'm seeing that technology could really help. So it's a plea, help me. And if you can introduce me to some people outside of this telecon, I'd be most grateful and most appreciative, and I'd follow up on it. So that's me, and thank you very much for listening.
That's brilliant, Mary. Thank you so much. I've put a little note in the chat. Anybody that's got any kind of thoughts, you can either put that into the chat or feel free to kind of jump back on once our final speaker has had a chance just to give a bit of an update, because we will have time for just a bit of a kind of a Q&A between the attendees on the call. So last but not least is Vaso. Vaso, do you want to come in and just say hello and tell us what has been going on with you?
Hi everyone, some of you I have met before and others I'm meeting for the first time. So my name is Vaso Makri. I work with the Dundee and Angus Chamber of Commerce and Perthshire Chamber of Commerce in order to deliver the Circular Tayside project. The project is a Zero Waste Scotland project and is aimed at increasing awareness and offering support to businesses to go towards more circular ways of operating. That means reducing waste, finding alternative uses for their waste, with recycling being a very last option, and ideally generating value from waste. There's different types of support, anything from free business support and workshops to funding of up to £1 million. And the funding is for SMEs or for partnerships that are led by an SME. So this is what I've been doing in a nutshell. If you go to our website, you will find a lot of resources. We have created a Circular Tayside map where you can find many local businesses that have circular elements in their operations or products. And you can find our ambassadors group and any other things that we develop. For me personally, these past few weeks have been, they have changed the way that I work. Sustainability and anything environmental has kind of taken a second place in people's and businesses' priorities. However, we have taken this time to plan and develop even more tools to use. And one of the businesses I found really inspiring in how they treated this is the Little Green Larder. It's a zero waste shop over in Perth Road, I think. And what they did is, well, they have the zero waste ethos. And what they did after the lockdown is they are using Zippy cars, which is a company that has electric vehicles. So they use them for deliveries. And then because some people can't use computers and phones to place orders, they also have a 3-hour, I think they called it window shop thing. So every Saturday for 3 hours, people that can't order online will go and see things displayed on the window of the shop and just point to the things they want and they will be delivered them. So I found the way that they dealt with this crisis while keeping their principles of zero waste. It was really inspiring for me to see what they managed to do in such little time. And that's me.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. Okay, so we have got maybe 10 minutes or so, and there now, I don't know if anybody's got any questions for anybody else, but if you have, you can put them into the chat. Mary, we'll definitely come back to you on some of the kind of the technology, because there's lots of people that I can suggest, just loads of people even that are doing things like, we've got local people doing yoga and exercise classes online. There's people doing quizzes. There's all sorts of different things, as well as the kind of real technology companies that can support with the remote working and all of that. So yeah, loads of ideas.
Thanks so much. Thank you.
That's all right, no bother at all. So I've got another question then, and I guess, for this one, it's probably just people just unmute and kind of come in, and if you have got an answer, then I would just be keen to hear from you. I suppose it's around challenges. So we've heard a lot about what everybody's doing, but is there one big key challenge that you've got that, is, it might not be getting in your way. It might just be that it's something that you're working through, or it might be that you have got a real problem that you're needing to kind of get everybody else on the call's help to unlock. Does anybody have anything they want to jump back in and share? Are we all feeling very shy? We are all feeling very shy. Either that or Sarah's just got you all muted and you're not wanting to come back in. Okay, well, what I'll do then is I'll maybe just run through a few of the webinars that we've got coming up and just highlight some of the things that's been going on. And then I guess, unless there's anything else in the chat, well, please jump in the chat and let me know if you want to come back in. So we've got a few webinars happening this week already, and actually, rather than do them in the sensible order, I'll start off with one that actually Vaso is running and taking part in. So on Thursday this week, there's a circular office workshop, and this would have been a face-to-face one that we've taken, or Vaso and her partners have taken electronically. And that's about, so there's a whole bunch of tools and techniques for people to make your office more circular. So, whether it's thinking about how you can decrease operational waste, how do you cut costs, or even how can you increase profits. There'll be a series of tools and techniques shared just to get people starting to think about how, when we all go back to our physical spaces, how can you improve what you do? And this is a really good time to kind of take that time out to just think through some of that. So we'll be, and you shouldn't really need to be sitting in your physical office to kind of do this. And it's applicable to anybody, whether it's Fiona's colleagues at the hotel and the kind of building that they're running there, or the sales office is a small part of that, or whether that's Ross and his wife working from home and how they kind of just manage that sort of aspect of their business. So it'll be thinking about how do you source, use and dispose of office goods. So, paper, plastic, your office furniture, your textiles, electronics. How will you influence others, particularly employees, but how will you get people within your business to think about changing their mindset when it comes to recycling, about reuse, about commuting? Well, we can all tick that box, can't we, because we have no choice at the moment, but also in terms of how you're spending and just what operationally you're doing with your business in your office. We're also going to be talking about some local partners and then some others. So you could be working with people to source materials and supplies from them, but it might actually be that you've got surplus goods that you want to pass on and you don't just want to throw them out. So how can you help either be part of that reuse chain or kind of pass your goods on to somebody that can make use of them? So as always, you can find details about that on our website and you can sign up. So that's happening on Thursday from 2 until 4. As I talked about, our regular series is obviously happening this week. So a guide to sales is on this evening. And those of you that are well networked will know Sandy McCurdy really well. Sandy has got a loads of brilliant experience. He did sales and ran big teams at McCain, and he's also done all sorts of different things like supported businesses when he worked with Business Gateway and Perth Council for a while. But Sandy's experience and the way that he can deliver sales training is really brilliant. So it'll be great to hear from Sandy. Tomorrow, our Wednesday programme is called Take a Break. I've no idea where Sarah got that name from. But it's all about just kind of taking time out to actually think about your people, and well-being is back on the agenda again. So our very first one of these was a mental health and well-being webinar on the Wednesday. And if I haven't said this already, which I don't think I have, all of our webinars are actually recorded on YouTube. I know Sarah talked about that when she talked about us recording today. So you just get a chance to grab a coffee and go back and kind of get a bit of a recap. Sometimes if you're actually participating in a workshop or a webinar, it's hard to take notes and remember what the key things were that you wanted to take away from that. So there's always a chance to go back and fast forward through the introductions at the beginning and go to the next stage. So wellbeing and resilience is what we're going to be talking about tomorrow. And that's, so we're going to hear from Angus Council about how they've been supporting their colleagues across their departments, what kind of platforms they've set up for colleagues to interact with each other, and how they are just thinking about maintaining and increasing employee wellbeing. So, you know, a really interesting one there. And then our business support webinar is not really ours this week. So Thursday morning, we would have normally had our business support webinar. But this week we're actually plugging into British Chambers of Commerce instead, because British Chambers of Commerce have got Liz Truss, who's the Secretary of State for International Trade, and there's going to be a conversation there about, you know, thinking about supply chain, how the UK's economic recovery is going to play out, and how does international trade fit into all of that. We've got to move beyond the crisis and learn from what some of the overseas markets have done. And that'll really be an interesting chance to kind of just hear a bit about, you know, what UK government is doing, what the plans are, and just, you know, there should be a chance to ask questions as well in that webinar. So again, the information for that is on our website. So a whole bunch of things going on this week, and next week we have got some interesting things in the plan, but if we told you about them now, you would forget about this week. And actually webinars are funny, we're all learning as we're going. So, you know, before we would have wanted to put events out for May and June already, but we're just not, you know, the current attention span or the kind of grabbing attention and letting people know what's going on is definitely much shorter than that. So people will jump on a webinar with half an hour's notice. So, and that's okay, that's absolutely great. I for one hope we don't go back to, you know, having an hour and a half meeting in Edinburgh where 18 people come from all different corners of Scotland and you spend most of your time travelling and don't get the most out of a meeting. So I'm very much really want back to the office, really want back to being able to see and talk to people face to face. But if we use webinars for some of those things that sit in your diary that you don't actually go and have to do in a face-to-face environment, then we'll be much improved, won't we? So I really think that's all from me. There's nothing particularly coming up on the chat that people have got a burning need to come in and jump in and say so, but you know where we are. If there was anybody on the chat you would like us to connect you with that you're not already connected with, or there's anything at all that we can do, then please let us know. We are keeping our COVID hub up to date on our website, so you know there's always things coming out of there. The government is continually updating the guidance, trying to improve the scenarios for business as much as possible, and it'll definitely be time to be talking recovery very soon. So look forward to seeing you if you're on the sales chat with us this evening, and if not, I'll catch up with you at some point. But thanks so much for attending, really appreciate it. Thanks to Sarah for organising, and catch up with you soon. Thanks folks.
Thanks Alison, bye.
Thank you.